Друзья, всем добрый день.
Everyone. We thank everyone who's with us today, who's going to study the secret doctrine together with us, and who's going to work on the first sloka on the third stanza, Dhyan. You know that the International Science and Research Seminar is the joint project of the Russian and foreign theosophists and scientists. And we're very happy to welcome all the participants who are able to join us today and the members of the scientific group. Our seminar is for those who is already familiar with the secret doctrine, who's interested in it, and who's also interested in theosophy. The seminar will last for 2 hours. Today we'll have comments of the members of the scientific and research group at the end of the presentation. And today, during the seminar, we will have the possibility not also to listen to the speakers, but also we'll try to have a dialogue together with you, and we'll try to answer your questions. The general concept of the secret doctrine. We're going to discuss the key points today. I mean, the first sloka of the third stanza, but you can ask questions related to the general concept regarding the Agni Yoga, the Kalachakra. You can raise your concerns regarding the materials, the nidanas, everything that speakers are going to talk about. Please use this special chat section to ask your questions. We'll be happy to receive your feedback, to exchange opinions online. Today, we have the simultaneous translators, Yulia Lazareva and Ksenia Persova, and we extend our sincere gratitude for all the work that you are going to do today. So we have this connection between the speakers and our listeners, and we have bilingual seminar, and we hope there won't be any technical glitches today and that everything will go smoothly. And we thank all the members of the scientific and research group, everyone who's joined us, and we also thank the listeners who joined us today online. Dear friends, today is a special day, the 24th of December. It's the closing seminar of 2022, and also today we give the impetus for studying a completely unique part of the secret doctrine. It's the third stanza, which is completely different from all the rest of them. Someone voiced an opinion in the Theosophy school. We've been studying the first volume for over 7 years, and we've heard the opinion that it's the most beautiful stanza in the secret doctrine. It is of the comprehensive nature, and it covers all the fundamentals of the prologue, and also it reflects all the ideas. In the third stanza, it's the the last state before the differentiation, which is the secret state. It is the unmanifested state, despite the fact that Madame Blavatsky gives notions of the physical world when she talks about the state of the universe before in the prolaya state. We are in the last period. Right now, the third stanza is going to form, and it will give the impetus to the appearance of the first light. Of course, it's the great secret, and as teachers say, the great secrets enable us to have the evolution of the universe. Without these secrets, there won't be this great interconnection of the manifested and unmanifested. There won't be this system. And the secret doctrine is the first attempt to study this secret in 2 volumes, Cosmogenesis, and we also have the second volume, Anthropogenesis. Of course, this attempt has blown the mind of millions of people of the world. In the times of Helena Blavatsky, when she gave this great gift to the humanity with the help of great teachers, it became clear that all her works that she did
очень
at that period
большое
of time
отражение и влияние
were
во
reflected
многих
and
великих
influenced on the works of many great
даже писателей,
composers,
поэтов.
writers, artists,
Вот так или
poets.
иначе, когда
In this
мы
way or the other,
начинаем
when we start
исследовать то время, когда жил Владимир
researching
Ильич
the
Ленин, мы
times
понимаем,
of
что
Helena
тот
Blavatsky,
импульс, который давался
it becomes
практически
clear that
корнем
this
заняло
impetus
все
that was
сознание
given
человечества. И должно
became
было
part of all
получиться
the consciousness of all
единое
people around the
третье
world. And we needed
для
to
того,
overcome
чтобы
the
сейчас
first,
мы
the
могли
second, the third
говорить об этом,
circle in
наверное,
order to today
не
be
так,
able to talk about
как
that,
просто, да,
not in
мы
simple
могли
terms,
бы
but so
говорить о
that
жизни
today we'll be able to
тайного
talk
знания.
about the
То
life of the
есть,
secret
что хочу
doctrine.
сказать, что ранее,
In other
когда в
words,
теософических кругах
earlier at the previous
преподавалась
circles,
тайная доктрина,
when the
не
secret
было
doctrine was
для этого
explained,
знаний, которое
there were
могло бы
no
оживить эти
minds,
понятия.
consciousness that were
Все-таки
able to give
физика
life to
давала
these notions. The physical
такое
form
отражение,
just
это
had a very particular
механизация,
reflection, and we can see it in the
Блаватской, да,
instructions
потом, когда велась школа,
by Blavatsky, or by the
теософическая
school,
группа,
Theosophy school, by the
последовательность
internal group. We
вопросы
were able
задавались
to see that based on the
чисто
questions.
физического
The
плана,
questions were
без
of the physical
ассимиляции.
plane. There was no
Есть
assimilation at that
определенные,
time
есть
because
ограничения.
there are
Но
limitations of a
потом
particular circles, but
уникальные
right now
моменты,
we are
когда это возможно.
living through the
И
unique times when it
мне
becomes possible. It's a great
это невероятная
experience, it's
возможность
unique opportunity
быть вместе
to be
с
together
вами, со
with
всеми
you,
в
with all
одном
of you,
потоке
within
познания
one flow of
эволюционного
the
плана
learning
Бога.
of the
Никогда
evolution
до этого
plan of
времени
God.
это было возможно.
Before that, we
Прежде,
didn't have such an opportunity.
вы
In the
знаете,
previous
что
races time, you know that the
первый, второй,
spirits
третий,
are
четвертый, пятый
born
раз
with the
одна монада,
of different
нематериальские,
races.
они
These are
называются, да, перевоплощениями. И
monadas,
каждому
and
было дано время для
each
исправления.
have the time
Кто-то
to
вполне здраво
improve,
работали кармически, то, что мы могли
in a
описать как
karmic way,
следствие обстоятельства жизни и
to
перевоплощения,
use
либо
the new
уже
circumstances of
потом
life
давало это возможность.
to all that gave an
Сейчас
opportunity to become better, to
дверь
improve. Today,
прямо сейчас
starting from today, the door has closed. There is no such
последний раз
opportunity to do so. So we
задать
need to make the
глубокий
choice
вопрос.
right now and to make this
Что мы
choice
хотим?
ourselves. Where are we
Чего
at the
мы
moment? What do
стремимся?
we want? What are we
Что
striving
для нас
towards?
главное?
What is important for us?
Вот эта мысль,
This
она
thought
совершенно уникальным образом отображается с изучением
is
тайной доктрины.
uniquely
Никогда ранее
related to
такого
the
не было
secret
возможно
doctrine
сделать
studies.
в таком объеме.
Previously, it has never been possible to do so
Уже было
in
написано
this
Агни-йога,
understanding.
тайная доктрина, как вы
After
знаете.
the
Она
secret doctrine
оживила
is followed by Agni Yoga,
эволюционную структуру.
it gave life to this
Таким
evolution
образом, да,
structure.
на все третье тысячелетие человечество
And
будет развиваться
during the third
соответствующим
millennium,
образом.
the humanity will
Поэтому
develop and
принимая
evolutionize according to
это
these
понимая
systems.
это
We understand
и
it,
двигаясь в одном
and
направлении,
we move
несмотря на
in
то,
one and the
что
same
каждый из
direction.
нас индивидуален, и
We
каждое
know that
открытие
each of us is
находится
an
в
individual, and
особенностях
each
сознания,
discovery
но все равно
is unique for
развитие
all of us.
знания,
But this general
он
flow, the
дает
development
основу
of this secret, gives the impetus
будущего воплощения всех.
for
Поэтому мы
the
находимся
future of all of
в
us.
уникальный период,
So we
когда
are living through
появляются
unique
возможности,
times
и
when it becomes possible.
мне будет поздравлять, потому что вы
And
знаете,
it would
что
be
когда это случается,
uh,
очень много событий
excessive to
происходит в жизни каждого
congratulate you,
человека.
because I know that
Каждый год
uh, when it
уникальным
happens, there
импульсом
are unique
образуются события.
events happening
Это
in
все
people's life. And
человечество,
2022
Россия особенно,
gave the
и
opportunity to
глобально
all
весь город,
countries, to Russia especially, to
очень много событий,
live
которые
through multiple
отразили сознание
events
людей.
that are
И
reflected on the minds of
именно в этот
people.
период люди
And
делали свой выбор.
at that particular period of time, people
Мы
had to
понимаем,
make the choice.
что те, кто
And we
остался в этих
understand that
энергиях,
those who are
для которых
in these energies, who stayed in these energies, for
изучение
whom
и
the studies, the
духовное
studying
оживление
and the
для
work
общего блага человека
for the better of
превыше
the humanity is more
человеческого
important for their
восприятия
own
мира.
personal interest, their
Психологическое,
own individual
физическое,
perception, whether it's
политическое.
physiological,
Выйти
political.
из этих рамок,
If we
подняться над
go
этими
outside of
и
these
с общей точки ракурса
framework,
посмотреть,
if we look
как
from the
двигается
outside
эволюционное
and see
движение, как
how
это
the
сможет делать
evolution
человек,
goes, Those who were able to do so, they were able to see the truth. So 2022 is the great energy of the tiger that opens this sector, and it has the power to learn the truth about itself and to accept this truth. And by doing so, accept and see the general truth, the common truth, because it's one and the same truth. So everything that is happening in the world related to war primarily is related to the consciousness, to the minds that are above that, because we all know that war, of course, brings death. It's terrible time. But when we understand that the evolution has its own cycle and we are going through this cycle at the moment, then each of us accepts the sacrifice. There is nothing above the truth, but the truth is described by the secret doctrine, by Agni Yoga. There is nothing above it. Wherever we go, due to circumstances, due to the immense events that are happening in the world, once we have this power to become above that, then it means that we are in the flow. And I congratulate sincerely everyone who's together with us, because these are the minds, the consciousness that were able to do so, that we're able to see this truth and to be in one and the same evolution flow. Dear friends, we wish all the participants of the seminar the productive work, the scientific and research seminar, The Secret Doctrine by Helena Blavatsky, dedicated to the research of the first sloka of the third stanza Dzyan, is declared open. And now I give the floor to the head of Theosophy School, Mr. Yary. Dear friends and brothers, because evolution is taking place and it goes from the general to the particular things. So we need to understand that we're united right now. Helena Petrovna gives us the direction of our thought, and this is the following thought. Do but return to the principles of wisdom, and those who take you now for a monkey or a wild beast will make a god of you.
And the most important in this thought of the day are the first lines. We need to come back to the basis of wisdom. Everybody to the principles of wisdom. All of us have noticed this when we start noticing, working with philosophic works, when we try to coexist together, to see everything through the prism of our vision at once, for ourselves, for other people, we become significant and we can be looked at and maybe even worshipped. This happened with each of us who independently and very responsibly learned the basis of wisdom, the principles of wisdom.
And so today we will be discussing the stanza which reads, "The last vibration of the seventh eternity thrills through infinitude. The mother swells, expanding from within towards without, like a bud of a lotus." Third stanza, first sloka. And in the meantime, in order to approach this main wisdom or this fundamental wisdom, what the stanza of the day tells us, we will try to discuss what does, given the perception of this stanza, its analysis, what does correct perception and understanding of the combination of the causes lead to, or the cause and effect connection, this law,
which determines, which holds the scales of the world, which tries to harmonize humanity as related to nature, to space, and to Earth itself.
Эпоха у нас
And the epoch that we're having is that of the blue monkey. The blue monkey is in the direction of space
или Луны,
or area or the moon.
фиолетового цвета.
It is purple, and there is the constellation of Aquarius. And this epoch, the era of the Aquarius, is called the era of the mother of the world, the era of Maitreya, the era of Buddha, Christ, and Maitreya, which
Являет собой ту высшую триаду,
are the upper triad
ведут человечество по жизни.
which lead humanity throughout life. The blue monkey
Представляет собой гармонию,
represents harmony
синий цвет
and beauty,
воздух,
and the color blue symbolizes air, which is which can fly, which is very volatile, and it determines, given our perception, determines the terms and conditions of and quality of our life. Of course, due to this fact, the era, the blue monkey, which is symbolized by this Nidana, tells us first and foremost about the direction of space that speaks about actions, the actions for mutual benefit. What do we do for mutual benefit?
иметь побуждение,
If we have the intention
согласно этого побуждения,
which motivate us, which create an incentive, it will improve the quality of life and form our bodies. First and foremost, determine, develop, and make thinner our astral body. It is not possible to view it without the mental body. As we are in the world of feelings, of conscience, and the astral body per se is the body of feeling, and our conscience, our mind, due to these feelings, tries to perceive our reality. So this is the pre-image of how life will be developed. Here we see the black, and this year is very esoteric, because already esoterically the year of the black hare has started. It started on October 29th. From the week of the black hare,
последнем
in the
месяце,
last month of December, it happens for this month the birth of the previous month, the birth of the new year. And this birth of the new year happened on October 29th. The black tiger, the tiger per se means birth. It is a male principle. And out of these two principles, the black tiger and the black hare,
мужской принцип, а зайчик
the tiger is the male principle and the hare is the female principle. There is one area, they're both black. The similar element, but the blackish hair tells us about death. And the male tiger speaks to us about birth. The birth of what? The birth of knowledge. Now the hare, which is moved by the force of the intention to knowledge, of our aspiration to knowledge. Now, if there is no former knowledge, there will be no ambition, no desire to know more. We will be satisfied with what we know.
And therefore, we need this state of death of the previous knowledge. For what? For the sake of future knowledge. And this is why a human will not be biased. Biased by what? Biased by what he or she knows or has learned. That is, he or she will immediately limit himself and just get out of the evolutionary flow by saying what they know. That is why this year will symbolize this lengthiness.
Is where the hair takes us out of the chains of time. Because everything that is temporary, everything related to time is finite. And while knowledge, if knowledge becomes endless, it means we shall come out of the chains of time. We shall enter eternity. Eternal knowledge will pursue us, and we will constantly be new and renewed. And each day will bring us joy, excitement, elation, and we will be happy with the eternity of being. And therefore, we will be eternal too. This is what eternity is. Because by the year, by the direction, we're speaking about the body of Buddha and the fruit. This is when we become elated, when we become enlightened, and the body begins to emanate the fruit of its actions. And this fruit, there can be no other way of emanation. It emanates wisdom. Now, wisdom makes us eternal because we are in the flow of knowledge. And this, all this that I mentioned, is in the esoteric form. That is, those who study the secret doctrine, the laws of being, they are as if in the pre-expectation of what can happen on the basis of knowledge, on the basis of what we know. And what is it that we know? We know the flow of time, and in this time, the period determines the need for this notion, for reality itself. For us this year, of course, we need to become brave, courageous, joyful, willing to move in our conscience to acquire more and more new knowledge. The black hair is under the ray of space, this purple ray. The purple ray reorients us, so to say, and sends us towards the era of Aquarius, which is in the planeta of action. So this ray determines for the fruit the actions. And again, it all happens within the hair. Now the energy of the sun, in which we live with our creative energy, the tiger, which is where we are esoterically, we had to wake up the creative art in us. And this chaotic ray helps us perceive the psychic energy, which works as our vital energy and is manifested in the form of prana, assuring our bodies. It also bears in itself the jira, which is an assertion of the delicate body, of the slender, the subtle body, and the epoch is in there. All its potence is present there. Now, its potence is that it presents the opportunity to create for the mind. And this feature of meditative thought is present in each of us. All we need is to understand this reality, to perceive it. And the perception of this reality enables us to give a lightness in manifesting creation, because it will be founded on the joy of ascension. This joy of ascension, which enables us to expand the mind and the notion of our feelings, determines the subtlety of our mentality, which helps us perceive the notion of things. So the birth of our events, of our abilities to perceive the notion of ideas, is determined by the year of the hare. And this is how, when understanding reality, we will see the fruit of our meditation, the fruit of our creative start for humanity, the synthesis of all of these. And creativity is manifested by those who can synthesize. And the ability of synthesize is pertinent to human conscience. And free will operates these powers through discipline and self-improvement, through meditation, concentration, and control.
The current month is that of the white boar. About this white boar, we can say the following. Before opening all of its potency, the fact that there is the female principle, because the white dog symbolizes the male principle and it is white, and the boar is whitish. It's a different property of light of the same ether. In other words, condensation of the ether as a motivation of the white dog as an impulse enables the conscience, its spatial and temporal vision of whatever is happening, enables it to be manifested, to manifest this summa summarum, according to the impulse of the personality, the feelings which it synthesizes in itself, the volume of knowledge which enables the conscience to manifest. And this white boar bears, under the ray of Mars, the symbol of spirit. So this militarized fire, which is necessary in order to manifest the conscience, because the conscience is manifested in the element of fire. This fire, the creating fire, which bears all the properties to remold the forms of understanding, of perception, and to bring them to a state of purity and beauty. Our today's day is somehow similar to the month. So this energy of the boar is emphasized. The summa summarum of everything enables us for today's day, for today's workshop, to manifest its conscience.
The manifestation of the mind tells us that we need to wake it up, to wake up its potential memory. And the memory is the spirit. And the ray of the spirit, it impacts the conscience of all of us. It is in the spirit that we can wake up the mind. Without the spirit, the mind will not wake up, nor will there be an opportunity, a possibility to synthesize. Because mind is the synthesis of our knowledge. And the synthesis gives us clarity, first and foremost. And then we can synthesize, we see the goal very clearly. So here we quit the illusionary perception of the dense world, which is based on space and time. We go out of these limits, go beyond them. And the weak is the black mouse. This is the week where we are. The black mouse symbolizes the mouse is movement, and water symbolizes first and foremost not water as an element of that comes from material surface, but a cosmic spatial element, which is an element of non-related space that is called hot humidity. And this hot humidity is a state of a property of water that it is not possible as yet to form or to crystallize in the matter any thought or idea. Why is it not possible? This state of water is before something being ancient. And this element gives an impulse for the conscience, given the law of karma. So what will the motivation be? The motivation of the person, based on this motivation, he or she will have the motion, it will be formed into a certain idea according to his or her mentality or vision. Therefore, water or the black mouse symbolizes the initial movement of our conscious action in this world of being, in this state and condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this information. It would be great to know how these nidanas, how these energies work in the context of the research within the Sloka. So we'll see how we'll be able to trace these energies, how we can be within these energies, what discoveries we can make. You know that the 24th is the great number, the closing seminar that opens a completely new plane of the secret doctrine, and it's the great nidana that completes the fire sector, that has the completing nature, the completing of the mind nature. So let's see how it's going to be expressed. So we invite Kishore Ongole, to the representative of Indian Theosophic community, to take the floor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Namaste to all. Stanza 3rd, Sloka 1. The last vibration of the 7th eternity thrills through infinitude. The mother swells, expanding from within, without, like the bud of the lotus. Stanza 3rd, Sloka 1. The seemingly paradoxical use of the sentence, 7th eternity, thus dividing the indivisible, is sanctified in esoteric philosophy. The latter divides boundless duration into unconditionally eternal and universal time and a conditioned one, Khandakala. One is the abstraction or noumenon of infinite time, Kala. The other is phenomenon appearing periodically as the effect of Mahat, the universal intelligence limited by Manvantaric duration. Here, 7 lokas, worlds, planes according to Vedic system, 7 planes according to secret doctrine, 7 rays. Every student should aspire to get these abilities. According to the Vedic system, it is Bhuloka, that is physical plane, coincides with will and power. Bhuvarloka, astral plane, love and wisdom. Swahaloka, causal plane, active intelligence. Maharloka, buddhic plane, harmony. Janaloka, atmic plane, concrete knowledge. Tapoloka, Anupadaka, devotion. Satyaloka, Adi plane, organization and rituals, ceremonial magic. Mahat, Maharloka. Mahat is balance or harmony of an idea. Idea being the root cause of the creation of the universe. Let us take the example of a simple balance. We keep weights on both sides. After some time, both sides are balanced. The needle indicates a zero, that is vacuum. It is thus concluded that when two things are balanced equally, it is zero. This is a big occult statement. We have to understand it properly. I especially don't believe in the word invention. It's always a discovery, because there is everything in nature, or Mahat. It is in a state of infinity, the state or equality of being in infinite or has no limit. Everything is in it. Science says that they invent, but they don't. They just pour old wine into a new bottle. You cannot create. You can only research or reinvent, rediscover. So there is no point in inventing. If creation has to happen, it must be somewhere in the universe to manifest. The seed of the lotus has everything in it. It swells, blossoms, and becomes a lotus flower. Creation is like a swelling and blossoming or expanding of the lotus. The mother swells, expanding from within, without like the bud of the lotus. That is the explanation. Mahat is plane of ideation. Evgenia is a Sanskrit word which is often understood as rains or rain god. Let us just ponder on 1 Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Sloka 14. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava yajnad bhavati parjanya yajna karma samudbhava, meaning all living beings subsist on food, and food is produced by rains. Rains come from the performance of sacrifice, and sacrifice is produced by the performance of prescribed duties. Seventh eternity. Let us try to understand what is seventh eternity. To calculate its age, however, as the pupil is asked to do in the stanza, is rather difficult, since we are not given the figures of the great Kalpa and are not allowed to publish those of our small yugas, except as to the approximate duration of these. The older wheels rotated for one eternity and one half of an eternity, it says. We know that by eternity, the seventh part of 311,040 thousands crores of years, you can say billions of years, or an age of Brahma is meant. But what of that? Primordial mother sitting on lotus, as given by Nicholas Roerich, is the first ray. Primordial mother for all seven eternities or seven rays symbolically. Let us see the image symbolically. The image is created with 7 colors, 7 heads, and 14 hands. Thank you. Namaste.
Господин Кишоре, огромное
Mr. Kishore, thank you so much. Thank you so much for pointing out the locus. Of course, it's the whole plane of the secret doctrine, which is dedicated to these notions. And of course, it's interesting that lokas are in line with the planes of existence, of being that you talked about. The calculations that is presented in this sloka and in other slokas of the secret doctrine, of course, are of symbolic nature. We know that the number itself gets its meaning when the symbol opens up to us. And only then we have the movement that starts. Only then we have the understanding, and we can talk about that. We can make suppositions. We can talk about it. It becomes alive. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts that you were able to voice today. Of course, the material of the secret doctrine is not simple, and in each shloka there are key points, and it seemed to us that you were able to cover these key points, and you were able to give us a review of the whole shloka based on the comments by Blavatsky. Thank you so much. Dear friends, and we are going on. We are going to continue this thought within this concept. We've prepared a presentation for you, and we tried to cover the key points. As for the discoveries that we were able to make, they were unexpected even for ourselves, because once you start working with the material, you can always find something new, something that you didn't used to notice, something that you just didn't pay attention to before, or at least you didn't pay enough attention to. That's why this or that notion can be viewed and considered from various points. And some of the thoughts that have already been voiced by Vladimir Vasilyevich, by Mr. Kishore, will not only be continued, but they will also be confirmed that indeed within this shloka, we talk about those things, about the important necessity, about the state of the universe, about the seventh state. So let's start to trace these events, the consequence of events, and our speakers will be able to answer your questions, and the members of the research and scientific group will be able to answer questions. It will be interesting to see how it goes. So let's see how the thought was able to develop according to the comments by Blavatsky, according to the Dzyan itself. There are several lines, but just a couple of lines, but they have so much meaning that once you delve into these two sentences, indeed, there is an infinite state within it. And it's like a woven material. We have the, we go from the cause to the reason, from the cause to the consequences, and new facets open to us. It's the day of the white boar that is being expressed, and we hope that on the 24th of December, at this Nidana, at the closing seminar of this year, we'll try to systematize all these discoveries. So let's start with the presentation. Schemes of the planes of being from the materials. The last vibration of the seventh eternity thrills through infinitude. The mother swells, expanding from within without, like the bud of the lotus. So what is the vibration of eternity? How many of them were there if the last vibration occurs during this period? Vibration is a creative breath in nature. The vibration or the trembling of unmanifested breath or invisible veils. Invisible veils are the mystical root of all matter and the whole universe. What are the veils? The veils are noumens of undifferentiated cosmic matter. And in principle, it is not matter, but the spiritual essence of matter. The root of nature is the source of the subtlest invisible properties, invisible matter. And it is the soul of the One, and infinite spirit. This state of the space is Mula Prakriti, the primordial substance that is the basis, or upadhi, or vehicle of every phenomenon, physical, mental, cognitive. This is the source from which Akasha radiates. Akasha is an eternal divine consciousness that cannot differentiate, that cannot have qualities or be active, according to Blavatsky. And that's an interesting point. Activity is inherent in what is mirrored from it. The unconditioned and infinite cannot have a connection with the finite and conditioned. Right now, on this page of the presentation, you're able to see the point of the opening on the planes of the images. This is the realm of Akasha, and it's in line with the seventh trembling vibration. And this is the moment of trembling and the closing. And that gave impetus as the future potentiality of all the seven planes, and it closed. Akasha cannot be differentiated, but as we were able to see right now, has or was able to have the impetus that from within, without, would expand within the seventh vibration, the impetus, and then it would close. This is the moment. The kingdom of Akasha is an undifferentiated and abstract space that fills the sphere of the original consciousness. And the sphere of the original consciousness is Chidakasam. In occult philosophy, it's divided into several categories, and namely into 7 spheres. The first is the sphere of hidden consciousness that coexists with the first and the second unmanifested logos. So let's have a look at this notion. For some reason, only during this research of the Sloka, we were able to pay attention to this state, to Chidakasam. The Egyptians used this word to invoke their great god of mystery, Amon, or Amos, the hidden god. In other words, the hidden god is the great god of mystery, and the hidden god will remain hidden forever. But this is the point of the discovery from within, without the impetus of the seventh state. So this is the invocation of the God of mystery. The secret is the driver of the universe. The Chidakasam has the whole Akasha, and it gave impetus for the whole evolution. It's interesting to see the component of this word, which is practically translated only by Blavatsky. We can see that kasam means oath or taking an oath. And when we work with the planes of images, that is where the evolution starts, the evolution of human beings. At that very point of the time, humans are able to see their purposes, their tasks. They take these commitments, and then they take this oath, and that is the place. Kasa, taking the oath, is the essence of the impetus of the third vibration. It shows how it works, and human beings take an oath for themselves. Just imagine, only this moment, only in this sloka, in the third stanza, that was given for the whole evolution. Asamkhya can be translated from Sanskrit as innumerable, because Chidakasam, this is the mystery that cannot be calculated. It cannot be calculated. If we look at the Sanskrit part of the word akasista or kasita, to be visible or to appear. These are some of the ways to translate this word. So there is a point of time in the plane of images of the seventh vibration when we take an oath to ourselves. And at this point of time, the number appears that will give impetus to the evolution in general, to be visible, to appear. It can go from within to the outside.
And we can suppose that the state of space in this period created itself not by forces, but by countless incalculable forces. It appeared for a moment, at the moment of the first Sloka of the last vibration, and disappeared again. At this moment, a great oath was pronounced to itself or to the monad, which will forever remain a hidden monad, and only its light will periodically have a reflection. By the way, another thought is interesting, that in the story by Rudyard Kipling, Mowgli, the snake or the boa constrictor was named Kaa. Kaa freed Mowgli by lulling him to sleep with the movements of his body and the voice of monkeys. After that, the wise Kaa became the third teacher of the young man. It was he who helped him find a dagger for a duel with the tiger Sharhan. Note, the third teacher, Kipling writes. It's a totally esoteric thought in this great story, that the third is the higher manas, a dagger cuts off the influence of the lower manas, and thus Ka, the serpent, is a serpent of reason and wisdom. It's interesting that a more precise pronunciation, which the Indians keep, sounds as Chidakasham. It is understandable why this concept is the place of the kingdom of Akasha, Chidakasham. Ether as a substrate of Akasha will be manifested by the first step of forehead, or the power of reason, and this activity will be a mirror image of the place of Chidakasam or Chidakasha. This is what was meant. Both Akasha and the cosmos, the nomen, they are not touched with the causal relations of the phenomenal world. This great thought, and if the vibration is a pulsation of eternity, which the state of Upadhi itself collects before the beginning of its factor or property, in order for it to begin to meet its purpose. So this is the thought. It's the foundation of Upadhi. It collects this property before its beginning, in order for it to begin to meet its purpose. And this purpose should somehow be reflected, it should be understood, it should appear. So this is the need of the foundational, of the evolutional cycle, and is the last seventh of eternity. And Mula Prakriti, which actually is the foundation of Upadhi, it reveals these veils of the cosmos, and these veils also have no touch with the causal relationships of the phenomenal world. So the key point, which we can view today, is that the veils are the thrill of creative breathing, which, when the time comes, will become movement and differentiation will begin. That is, matter will unfold from the inside towards out. The awe of the seventh eternity determines the numerical value. Vibration and eternity are a single component of the number 7. 7 eternities, 7 vibrations. Each tremor of the sevenfold is eternity. So before the differentiation began, there were 7 of them. That is, there are 7 states of the unmanifested universe, which will later be manifested as the 7 states of the manifested universe. You see, this is the whole system. The upper 3 planes give their 7th cycle, and when they come, they will be fully reflected. And it will be called what? It will be called the 7 states of the manifested eternity. The 7 vibrations of each eternity. So there's a total of 7 eternities. This makes it 49. Same as 49 manifested lights, which in essence reveal the creative potential of the divine person. By the way, we can say that the 7th state which a human can achieve is achieved either at the point of death or at the time of very strong vibration moment of certain determined visions. This is when it can be manifested. So we can say that the seventh vibration of the last seventh eternity, which was in eternity, it creates the potential of the 49th fire of the human person. 7 eternities, 7 states of vibration, which in future will be manifested in 49 fires in the human. This is the interrelation.
In other words, this thought enables us to come back to the next point. The cycle corresponding to the description of the third stanza of the first sloka corresponds to the last seventh tremor of the seventh eternity, and that is potentially the 49th fire. We were able to identify the state. Sloka 3, stanza 1, it's 3 plus 1 equals 4. 49 lights gives us the sum of 4. In other words, the fourth plane is the plane of prototypes. There is Mula Prakriti, Prakriti, Akasha radiates from there, and the last vibration of the seventh eternity creates the first form of the unforma, the fourth internal state of matter, which preserves the first 3 monad or manas. This vibration was still trembling in infinity. And infinity is space, a space that is beyond dimensions in every sense. It is self-existent. And what does it mean? The essence itself, and the essence is spirit. And this, that is the space itself, represented a single essence of spirit, in which the root is matter. And it was also the mother who, when filled or when 7 cover, the 7 vibration, the 7 pulse, will give the first movement, and it will unfold from the inside out. And that is how it happens. The hidden mother will become manifested, and it will have the ability to create, to give birth. The mother, the Divine Mother, has these abilities. And these are the abilities when it changes its nature. It will create 7 sons, or the 7 builders of the universe, who will begin to build worlds with their rays. The creation will happen, and there will be 7 of them, and then the birth of nature will take place. In other words, the 7th eternity divides the duration, the space. It divides it into unconditional and conditional time. The unconditional time is universal time, Kala, the noumenon of infinite time, and the conditional time is Khanda Kala, which is phenomenon, and that is periodic. And deployment is not being an increase in size, there is only a change in state. And this is the main characteristic of the space. This is the expansion, but not in size. It gave the impetus that we were talking about. That is an important discovery, the discovery of these components of the plane of the system. And it gives us a completely new understanding of this whole system. That is the foundation of the secret doctrine. So let's have a look at Manvantara. According to Elena Petrovna, Manvantara is between 2 manus. What is Manvantara, or space? If we take a circle and divide it in half, we define the state between. Then we'll understand that in each of the components, and there are two single spaces, there are 7, and that is 2 septenaries. 7 equals 14 equals 5. And Manvantara, or between the two, Manu, this is the state of the ray that is in line with the 5th principle. And the 5th principle divides the space, it gives it the expression or the movement. Manvantara is the huge cycle between the two manas. And in terms of numbers and figures, it can have the following concept. But between two sevens, there is the 5th principle, the consciousness, the mind. And it divides the duration into conditional and unconditional time because it is the state by itself. It seems that the picture is very simple, just a circle divided into halves, but there are so many thoughts inside it. There's so much that you can discover in this space. The key point, the mother, who's still swollen, she's preparing for the overthrow of this mind, a reasonable force in nature. It will unfold from the inside out, and he will emit this first ray from itself, and he'll be the light, the sun, or the mind. Manvantara is between two manas. There are 14 in each Brahma, and it consists of 100 aggregates of 4 centuries. There are thousands aggregates of 4 centuries. Without the globes, without the system, the numeral system, we won't be able to feel it. Manu comes from the root man, or rather man, to think, hence the thinking man. But esoterically, every Manu or humanized patron of his cycle or cycle is only a personified thought, a divine thought. So once the thought is personified, it becomes of the divine nature. How can we imagine this thought? 14 manus in every day of Brahma, 1,000 aggregates of 4 centuries. It is the 1,000 aggregates as a unit that descended to the densest state and divided it. The descent of 0, 0 and 0, 3 worlds of this densification or differentiation. 0 is the 4th. It's divided by unit. 1 and 4 zeros or worlds are 14,000, 14 mana or manvantara. And this is the scheme that can define from the technical point of view what it means. 1,000 aggregates of 4 centuries. The 4th century is the first form of differentiation. Everything is very simple. Pahat fulfills the instructions of Manu and encourages ideal prototypes to unfold from the inside, to gradually go through the descending school of all planes from noumens to phenomena, in order to finally blossom on the latter into full objectivity, to the highest degree of illusion, or the brute matter. And it's an interesting thought within this secret doctrine. The Pahat fulfills the instructions of Manu. And in this context, Elena Petrovna says that Tian Koganov is the first step of Pahat. It's the 7-ray star, and we can see the star here on the screen. That is where the prototypes are perfect, ideal. They will go from inside out, they will move to phenomena, and they will go through this objectivity up to the thickest materials. This is the hardest materials, matter, the hardest matter of our plane. The 7th vibration can be referred to the first and to the manifested logos. The first lies outside the time and space. dimensions, but it exists for the second one. Without the planes of existence, this thought couldn't be discussed so deeply. But if we have the planes of existence, we can apply any thought to that. We can see how the seventh vibration is related to the first, the manifested logos. We can see how the first is lies beyond space and time, and the second is within the time. The first three planes are the unmanifested planes. They're beyond forms. The three unmanifested logos. Elena Petrovna gives us the description of the logos. I think it would be useful for all of us to have a look at that once again. We often discuss logos, but as for the comments, Elena Petrovna says about that once again, the unmanifested is the absolute, an absolute space that will become a mother giving birth. The second unmanifested is duration, which will become time. The third is the unmanifested in the great breath that will become movement. The first manifested is the latent world thought. The second manifested is the word made flesh, demiurge, active will, builders, the supreme force that builds the universe. And the third manifested is the shape of our world. The lotus bud exists not only as a miniature embryo in its seed, its physical feature, but his prototype exists in an ideal form in the astral light, from dawn to night throughout the Manvantara, according to Blavatsky. Just imagine this cycle. The prototype exists in its ideal form in the astral light, from dawn to night throughout the Manvantara. How will the matter unfold from the inside out? As the matter unfolds from the inside out, so the man is born from the inside out in his 7 bodies. The universal matter unfolds the same way as the human beings can unfold. The upper triad of immortality is 7, the pure spirit, Atman, the 6th, the spiritual soul, Buddhi, the 5th, Manas, or according to Elena Petrovna, is the 5th principle, the plastic mediator of malice. It's an interesting term. We could discuss it, but probably we don't have enough time to do that right now. So it is food for thought for all of us. Why is the 5th of Manas, is the plastic mediator of Manas, according to Blavatsky. It is the plastic, the mediator. Why is it plastic? Because it's mediator. It has its characteristic. It has its path. It can be manifested. The lower 4, let's have a look at that. The 4 is the basis of passions and desires, 3, the solar life principle of prana, 2, the image of a person, the astral body, linga, sharira, and 1, the image of the creators of the physical body. So we move on to the next key point, the third stanza, the third unmanifested logos. The first Sloka is the first manifested logos. So this is the mystery of unfolding of the universe. The change of states, when the third becomes the first, there are essentially 4. So it can give the power to the whole Manvantara, to the whole movement of the evolution. So on the plane of the force, the plane of prototypes, there is a phenomenon of the great mystery. When the 3 unmanifested logos become 1 manifested, that is deployment, not being an increase in size, but there's only a change in state. The change of states, when the third becomes the first, and there are essentially 4. And what is 4? This is the prototype of 7. They are assembled and ready to expand within, without, like the bud of the lotus. So that's how it happens. So we've come to the key point. The last vibration of the seventh eternity thrills through infinitude. The mother swells, expanding from within without, like the bud of the lotus. This is the description of the state of space, the last seventh vibration before differentiation. So we have made an attempt together to go through this not very long path, but it's a very beautiful beginning of the first sloka of the third stanza. Dear friends, we have questions. We've received them, but before that, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Kolganov, the member of the Scientific and Research Group, the Philosophy Department of the Moscow Aviation Institute, Russia, the city of Moscow, PhD. Mr. Kolganov, I give the floor. Please express your opinion and share your thoughts with us. Dear participants of the Theosophic seminar, I liked very much today's speeches that enable us to delve into the studies of the secret doctrine. Indeed, the shloka that we are studying right now gives us new knowledge. It tells us about the period of time that is before the appearance, the creation of cosmos, of the space. And in this shloka, we can also see that the esoteric studies are different from Vedanta studies. Elena Petrovna unifies two directions. We have Vishishta Vedanta and Dvaita Vedanta. And in this shloka, Blavatsky talks about Vishishta Dvaita. But now we know that there are three main directions of Vedanta: the monism, consequential monism of mind to Vedanta, according to which the human soul and the higher global soul are equal. But people cannot fathom this idea. That's why during their whole lives they feel as if they were divided, and it's an illusion. The second direction is Vishishta Vedanta, according to which there is the autonomy of the human soul. That soul is part of the world soul, but it's only part of it. In other words, it is autonomous. And there's also Dvaita Vedanta, which is dualism, according to which the world soul or the individual soul are separated from each other, and they are two completely different souls. And here we can see in this stanza that the esoteric studies is different here from the first and from the second explanation, from the second relation of the matter to the mind, according to Vedanta. What else would I like to point out? It turns out that all the processes that we are trying to complicate, to make as complicated as possible, they're just the manifestations of what was unmanifested. There is no creation here. The higher beginning, the Manu, represents only the creator, the God. The creator that we can see in the studies of the Platon, according to this spiritual world, the ideas of the spiritual world, God just manifested without adding anything from himself. And in this case, we can see the same. And another interesting aspect that I'd like to point out, and it is of philosophical nature. The mental processes are not of material nature, as we can see, because they are not based on Prakriti. If the mental processes are based on Prakriti, then in this case, the thinking process can be of material nature. But in this case, we can see that it's based on unmanifested. And in this case, it is of no material nature. That is what I wanted to highlight regarding this beautiful Sloka. Thank you so much for your attention. Sergei, thank you so much for your comments. It's a very interesting addition, and you're very accurate. So we have a question to Mr. Kishore. Please answer a question. The question is, what is Maya and how does it appear?
Isis unveiled, and next is the secret doctrine. Maya is an illusion. Whatever we see is Maya. Whatever we don't see, we cannot see with our naked eyes, is beyond Maya. So Maya is completely physical plane, which is related to our emotions, desires, and connections to our relationships. When you can see beyond Maya, the divine appears. When you unveil the Isis, you can see the secret doctrine. The same way, when you see beyond Maya, the divine appears. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. A comment from Vladimir Vasilyevich. First of all, this third stanza of the first Sloka tells us that the impetus of the first Logos that is reflected in the second, and this impetus has radiation in the second reflection, and this reflection of the second Logos has the great Maya because it is reflected. So let's imagine where this reflection is. It is in the second Logos. But in the second Logos, we can see the plane with paranirvana. Paranirvana, the state is when we can see the pure feelings, the pure emotions. We have only the feelings, and in this case, it is outside of Maya because of these feelings. So imagine the nirvana plane, which is not even the plane, it's the state. It's on the plane of the images, prototypes. And here we have the illusion as well. So when we are in the nirvana state of our consciousness, we are still in the illusion state. So just imagine, only in the paranirvana, this illusion can be taken away. Illusion not only is in the material world, but it is also with the prototype world, and it is related to the fourth world as well, the material world, the world of the forms. The illusion is on all planes. It's interesting to highlight regarding Maya. There's another thought. Maya is not something bad or negative. The state of Maya is something that enables us to grow. The Maya state is the reflection of the reality, and it's the great reality. And Elena Petrovna says, the only thing you need is to understand Maya, and you become an adept. So we cannot jump this step. We need to understand Maya completely. If Maya exists on all planes, even at the Nirvana plane, then it means that we have this desire to go through all these blue paths. The path is the eternal path, and it is not going to have any end. So we have another question. Why in the first sloka do we talk about the astral light? Vladimir?
Дело в том, что именно в этой
In this
третьей станции и
third
первой
stanza,
должен упомянуться этот астральный свет.
this astral light is going to be mentioned. We've just talked about the great Maya that has its own reflection,
А эта великая Майя,
and this is the great Maya.
астральный свет — это
The
еще
astral
одно
light
зеркало,
is the mirror
которое имеет всю ту же
that
потенциальность,
has the same potentiality
духовных форм,
as the
которая закладывалась в
forms
потенция.
and spirits.
И нуменом является,
The numen
по сути дела, вот третья
is the
станция,
third stanza,
нуменом этого зеркала.
is the numen of this mirror, the astral light,
Поэтому говорится об астральном свете.
the astral of the future. The characteristics is the reflection, is that of the reflection. So another thought regarding the astral light. We know that Akasha is the state that is the basis of the sound. Once the sound appears, and the sound is the great rhythm of the space, and it loses its fullness. It destroys something, and it shifts into something new. And this sound is of eternal nature in Nidanas because it follows the Nidanas. Just imagine the greatness of the shloka that reflects the basis of the sound, the Akasha, that in the future will follow the Nidanas. Nidana is the reason and the consequence and the understanding of them through the physical world makes all those ideas real. The sound, if it were not on the astral light, and Akasha is before it, it won't be able to appear anywhere. At first, the sound should be at the Akasha, the astral light, and then it can move towards our physical world. So if we take this thought, it turns out that the strivation towards these 7 gates is also interesting, because we move towards the foundation of the sound. That's why in many religions they use various instruments, musical instruments for meditation, for rhythms, because they prepare the space for this feeling, because you cannot understand Akasha, but you can feel it. You can feel with the help of the sound. So this is the thought I wanted to share. Yes, you can feel it indeed. And Akasha is in its essence the driver. And this driver depends on the higher or on the lower. If it depends on the lowest, then this desire, this drive has the astral light. It's of illusion. And it can go up to the lowest, but the highest is the voice of the soundless. We have the question to Kishore. You talked about locus. How many locus are there? How can you divide them and categorize them? How many locus are there, and how can you divide them into different categories? The question is to Mr. Kishore.
Logos, manifested and unmanifested. Two types of logos. Today we have talked about 7 eternities. Logos is the first manifestation from which everything comes. First logos, second logos, and third logos, which we call as Fahad, Brahma, and Shiva. Disturbance is there. First logos, second logos, and third logos. 3 types of logos.
Mr. Kishore, your response has been accepted. Thank you very much. Altogether, there are 14 loci, 7 objective and 7 subjective. So what for is this given? We know about this. What are the movements and what are the tasks, the purposes that we can determine related to this? It is clear that these 14 loci are on different planes, from outside towards inside.
This is the state of the consciousness through which human beings must go through, because they want to go away from the 7 paths. They are the 7 gates of Dhyan. They are on the plane of consciousness, of creativity, because they are the potentiality of the divine, of the potentiality, because human beings have this divinity and this potential. So that's what we're moving towards, and we can achieve it in different manifestations. That is the thought I wanted to share with you. Thank you for the questions that you're asking. And as for locus, and it's a very important thought. There are locus and tala. Tala is the place, and loci is not a place. The one state of the higher divinity, it is not based on the form, and another one is the form, and it reacts to everything, and the consciousness has the place. And the consciousness cannot have the place, so it has the duration and exists in it, and it exists in harmony. And it has the happiness. It's the state of locus, and Aftala is related to the land, to forms, to consciousness. Thank you. The question to Mr. Kolganov: what is the ideal prototype that become of objective nature and where do they come from? If we talk of the philosophical nature, this is the most difficult problem. Indeed, there are prototypes, forms, the world of ideas, the world of ideas that is different from the material because it doesn't have any characteristics. It does not have to. It does not have the weight or other things. It is from the idealistic point of view. It is from the point of view of any religion, and it is of the primary nature. How it appears, we are trying to understand it, and we are studying secret doctrine for that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the phrase to start to study in detail. As for the Kalachakra, starting from which date in 2023 there will be the movement, the shift towards the new Kalachakra. We work according to the calendar, and this calendar has been adopted. And on the 31st of December, on the 1st of January, we can have this shift from one year to another, and it is of psychological nature. We are ready for it psychologically. As I said, the esoteric year has come. It's the year of the black hair, but we have not started the psychological new year. And this first state, the esoteric state, is of the spiritual nature on the plane of the consciousness of the mind. And we know it. We know that we live within these energies, these feelings. It's on the plane of the consciousness. It will be on the astral plane of our consciousness. So within this psychological state, when we can smell smells, when we have the Christmas tree and so on. As for the Kalachakra periods of time, we have the week of the Black Taurus. It's the initial understanding, and we always have the reason. According to Kalachakra, we can understand it because tomorrow we have the week of the Black Mouse, and it's the day of the Black Mouse. And if we look at the Kalachakra, hope you can see on the screen, we're in the white ball section. This is the path that divides the subjective and objective. And this period of time will start with the black mouse, and it will be manifested on the physical plane in the black boar or black Taurus. So this is the difference between the Kalachakra periods of time and the Nidanas. These are the dates. Thank you so much, everyone. So I suggest that we make the conclusion. Today we were able to identify the internal, the external components of the septenary that can potentially be in the period of evolution that has not been manifested. At this dawn of Manvantara, and the principles of the seven, the questions were related to the idea how we can apply it to human beings. And there's another component, the seventh state. It has the power to build a bridge from one plane to another. It has this idea. It is the idea. It's the seventh state. And this idea is the essence because it is very similar to the Fahad characteristics. Fahad is the one who gives the law and is the law itself. So the seventh component, the seventh plane, is the plane of death. And Fahad has 7 parts. And we can say that in this period of time, this death and the death, we have the power to have other things. Once we die, at the stage of death, we can see all the moments of our life, and it takes only a second. So we are in the septenary state at this point of time. This state can be compared to the understanding, because once we have the understanding, the new cycle starts. The 7 is the the 7, and the 7 is the unified state of consciousness, and this is the consciousness, and you move on to another plane, and you create something new. You just there's another level of reason, and that's how the evolution goes on. So, dear friends, we have concluded not only the third stanza of the first shloka, but also everything that will give impetus for further studies of the secret doctrine. As our esteemed members of the scientific group were able to see that it gives us the impetus to have all the to go through all the 7 gates, and all of us have the opportunity to do that, and we have the new year that will begin very soon, and we will have these opportunities to do so. So we thank everyone for organizing this seminar. We welcome our speakers, our research group for their discoveries, for the listeners. We thank our listeners for your questions. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to answer all the questions online, but you know that we have online forum, Theosophic Quizy, that will be demonstrated to you. These are answers to your own questions, and this is the informal format, and we can be in this Akasha together. 2022 is going to be behind us, and it had the great events of the Black Tiger year, and the 2023 year will be the year of the black hair, and it symbolizes the initial knowledge. So we'll have the possibility to delve into, to get into the state and to start reflecting everything in our heart and in our consciousness. We congratulate everyone with getting into new energies, thoughts, with new events. We wish you all the new day to bring you the best impressions and the best events. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing for Theosophy development in the whole world. Please share your thoughts, your suggestions. We're always in touch. We are in touch, we were in touch, and we will be in touch with you. Dear friends, thank you so much. We wish you a happy 2023. It's easy and simple to be together. Up to 22nd of January, we'll continue studying the secret doctrine. Please use all the opportunities to do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
See you.
Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Book of the Third Millennium.
Blavatsky only knew